Hey there, awesome people. Ever feel like life's throwing dodgeballs at your face faster than you can duck? Like you're constantly trying to keep your cool when everything around you is, well, not cool? We've all been there, right? You're juggling work, relationships, that weird existential dread about whether you left the stove on. It's a lot. And sometimes, you just wish you had a secret superpower to handle it all with grace, a calm mind, and maybe, just maybe, a tiny smirk of self-satisfaction. Well, what if I told you there's an ancient philosophy, older than your grandma's favorite casserole recipe, that can actually give you that superpower? And what if I told you that the ultimate training ground for this philosophy isn't some dusty temple, but rather the military? Yeah, you heard me. We're talking about Stoicism and how it's basically the OG blueprint for building inner strength, a blueprint that the military has been using, probably unknowingly, for centuries. So buckle up, buttercups. Today, we're diving headfirst into the power of Stoic discipline, how military training builds inner strength. We're going to explore how the wisdom of ancient Greek and Roman thinkers somehow perfectly aligns with the boot camp grit and relentless discipline of military life. Get ready to have your mind blown, and maybe even discover your own inner Stoic warrior. Let's do this. Introducing Stoicism, an ancient philosophy for modern life. Alright, so let's kick things off with a little introduction to our main character, Stoicism. Now, when you hear Stoic, what comes to mind? Probably someone super serious, unfeeling, maybe a bit rigid, right? Like Mr. Spock on a bad day, or that one friend who never cracks a smile, even at the funniest meme. But hold your horses. That's actually a common misconception, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Stoicism, at its heart, isn't about being emotionless. It's about being in control of your emotions, rather than letting your emotions control you. It's a practical philosophy, born in ancient Greece around the 3rd century BCE, and then championed by some seriously cool Romans like Seneca, Epictetus, and even an emperor, Marcus Aurelius. These guys weren't just sitting around in toga parties debating the meaning of life. They were actively trying to figure out how to live a good, virtuous, and fulfilling life, even when everything around them was going to pot. Imagine ancient Rome. It was a chaotic place, full of political intrigue, wars, plagues, and probably some seriously bad traffic. So, how did people keep their sanity? How did they maintain their inner peace amidst all that madness? Enter Stoicism. At its core, Stoicism revolves around a few key ideas. Firstly, it's all about virtue. Not just any virtue, but the big four: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't just feel-good words. They're actionable principles for navigating the world. Wisdom, for example, isn't just about being smart. It's about practical wisdom, knowing what's truly good or bad for you. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting rightly even when you are afraid. Justice is about treating others fairly, and temperance is about self-control, moderation in all things. Think of them as your internal GPS, always pointing you towards the right path, even when external forces are trying to send you off-roading. Secondly, Stoicism emphasizes living in accordance with nature. Now, this doesn't mean becoming a tree hugger, though there's nothing wrong with that. It means understanding the natural order of things, accepting what is beyond our control, and focusing our energy on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. It's about recognizing that some things are up to us, and some things aren't, and trying to control what isn't up to us. That's a recipe for frustration, anxiety, and a whole lot of wasted energy. It's like trying to change the weather by yelling at the sky. Pretty pointless, right? This leads us to a massive, game-changing Stoic concept: the dichotomy of control. This is probably the most practical and powerful tool in the Stoic arsenal. It's simple, yet profound. Some things are within our control: our judgments, our impulses, our desires, our aversions. And some things are not: our health, wealth, reputation, other people's opinions, and external events. The Stoics argued that the vast majority of our suffering comes from trying to control things that are simply not in our hands. If you spend your days worrying about what other people think of you, or fretting over the stock market, or stressing about that giant asteroid that might hit Earth, spoiler alert, you can't control it. You're setting yourself up for a miserable existence. Instead, by focusing exclusively on what you can control, you free up immense mental and emotional energy. You become incredibly powerful, not by dominating the world, but by mastering yourself. Think about it. We often beat ourselves up over things that are completely out of our hands. Traffic jams, not your fault. Your boss being a total grump, not your responsibility to fix their mood. Rain on your parade, literally not your problem. The Stoics would say, all right, acknowledge it. It happened. Now, how do you choose to respond? That's where the power lies. And that's precisely why Stoicism is so incredibly relevant in today's crazy world. We're bombarded with information, expectations, and instant gratification. We're constantly comparing ourselves to others on social media, chasing external validation, and getting stressed out by things we can't influence. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this modern madness. It teaches us emotional control, not by suppressing emotions, but by understanding them and choosing how we react. It cultivates resilience, helping us bounce back from setbacks stronger than before. And ultimately, it guides us towards finding genuine inner peace, a peace that isn't dependent on external circumstances, but rather on our internal state. It's about building a fortress inside your mind, a sanctuary where external storms can rage, but your inner calm remains undisturbed. So you might be wondering, okay, cool, philosophy stuff. But what does this have to do with military training? Excellent question, my friend. This is where the magic happens. Because while the Stoics were meditating in their robes, soldiers were out there, well, soldiering. They were facing life or death situations, extreme physical demands, and immense psychological pressure. And yet, if you look closely, the qualities required to excel in military service, discipline, resilience, emotional regulation, teamwork, and an unwavering focus on duty, are remarkably similar to the virtues championed by the Stoics. It's almost as if the military, through its rigorous training, inadvertently built a real-world crucible for Stoic principles. Soldiers aren't reading Seneca on the battlefield, probably, but they are living many of the core tenets of Stoicism. They're learning to accept what they can't control, the chaos of battle, the enemy's actions, focusing on what they can control, their training, their reactions, their immediate mission, and prioritizing their duty and the group's well-being over their individual comfort or fear. So, get ready, because in the next section, we're going to dive deep into the world of military training and uncover just how much it mirrors the ancient wisdom of the Stoics. It's time to see how the crucible of military service forges not just strong bodies, but incredibly powerful minds, steeped in Stoic discipline. Military training, the crucible of inner strength. All right, ladies and gentlemen, prepare for a mental boot camp of our own. We've talked about Stoicism as this ancient user manual for life, right? Now, let's pivot to the ultimate real-world application of some of these principles. Military training. And let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart, or for those who prefer their mornings without a 4 a.m. wake-up call and a mile run in the pouring rain. Military training, whether it's basic training, officer candidate school, or specialized combat drills, isn't just about teaching someone how to shoot a rifle or tie a fancy knot. It's a deliberate, systematic process designed to break you down and then build you back up stronger, both physically and, crucially, mentally. It's a literal crucible, a severe test or trial, designed to forge not just soldiers, but incredibly resilient human beings. Let's talk about the rigorous physical training. We're talking push-ups until your arms feel like jelly, runs until your lungs burn, obstacle courses that would make a ninja sweat, and carrying heavy gear for miles on end. Why do they do this? Is it just to make you buff? Partially, sure. But more importantly, it's about pushing your physical limits to expand your mental ones. When your body is screaming at you to quit, and you push through anyway, you're not just building muscle, you're building an unbreakable will. You're teaching your mind that it can override the primal urge to give up. This isn't just about strength, it's about proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. It's about conquering your own perceived weaknesses. And then there's the mental discipline. This isn't just about memorizing regulations or tactical maneuvers. It's about learning to function under immense pressure, often in chaotic and life-threatening situations. Imagine being yelled at by a drill sergeant, sleep-deprived, hungry, and still being expected to perform perfectly. Or imagine being in a combat zone, where every decision could mean life or death, and you have to remain calm, focused, and rational. This is where military training truly shines. It strips away distractions and forces you to focus on the immediate task, the mission, the objective. Think about it from a Stoic perspective. The drill sergeant screaming inches from your face, that's an external event, something you can't control. Your internal reaction? That's entirely up to you. Do you crumble, get angry, or do you take a deep breath, acknowledge the noise, and focus on the command? Military training implicitly teaches you to focus on your response to adversity, rather than letting the adversity overwhelm you. It's a masterclass in the Stoic dichotomy of control. You can't control the situation, but you can always control your reaction to it. This leads us to emotional control. Soldiers are trained to remain calm in the face of adversity, to make rational decisions when emotions are high. Fear, anger, frustration, these are natural human emotions, but in a combat zone, they can be deadly. Military training teaches you to compartmentalize, to acknowledge these feelings, but not let them dictate your actions. It's not about suppressing emotions entirely. It's about mastering them, recognizing their presence, and then choosing a response based on logic and duty, not raw instinct. Consider a scenario: a sudden ambush. Your heart is pounding, adrenaline is surging, and every fiber of your being is screaming, "Run!" But a trained soldier, through countless hours of drills and simulations, has learned to override that primal scream. They remain calm, assess the situation, communicate with their team, and execute their training. This isn't superhuman. It's the result of intense, repeated exposure to stressful situations, coupled with the disciplined practice of rational thought over impulsive reaction. That, my friends, is Stoicism in action, whether they call it that or not. Perhaps one of the most profound lessons in military service is the emphasis on prioritizing the needs of the group over individual desires. This is huge. In a civilian world, we're often conditioned to prioritize me, myself, and I. But in the military, your life and the lives of your comrades depend on collective action, trust, and self-sacrifice. You learn that your personal comfort, your personal preferences, even your personal safety, often take a back seat to the mission and the well-being of your unit. This fosters a deep sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. It's about understanding that you are part of something much larger than yourself, and that your individual actions have consequences for the whole. This naturally leads us to the striking parallels between the principles of Stoicism and the values ingrained in military service. The military doesn't preach philosophy from a textbook, but its very ethos embodies Stoic virtues. 1. Courage. Not just physical bravery, but the moral courage to do what's right, even when it's difficult or dangerous. 2. Discipline. Self-control, adherence to rules, and the consistent effort to improve. This is the cornerstone of both military effectiveness and Stoic practice. 3. Resilience. The ability to endure hardship, bounce back from setbacks, and adapt to changing circumstances. Duty. A strong sense of responsibility and commitment to one's obligations, whether to the mission, the unit, or the country. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic idea of fulfilling one's role in the cosmos. 5. Acceptance. The acknowledgement of harsh realities, the acceptance of loss, and the understanding that not everything can be controlled. This is literally the heart of the Stoic dichotomy of control. Think about the military concept of embracing the suck. It's a crude but effective way of saying, this situation is awful, it's uncomfortable, it might even be painful, but I'm going to accept it, get through it, and not let it break me. That's pure, unadulterated Stoicism right there. It's a practical application of accepting what is, even when what is, well, sucks. So, military training isn't just about creating highly skilled combatants. It's about cultivating a specific mindset, a mindset of resilience, adaptability, self-control, and unwavering focus on what truly matters. It's about forging individuals who can face extreme adversity, both physical and mental, and emerge stronger on the other side. And as we're about to discover, these are precisely the traits that make a Stoic soldier, a person equipped with incredible mental fortitude, ready to face any challenge, whether on the battlefield or in the mundane moments of everyday life. The Stoic soldier, embracing mental fortitude. All right, we've established that military training and Stoicism are like two peas in a pod, a dynamic duo for building inner strength. Now, let's drill down into how specific Stoic principles manifest in the mindset of a soldier, and how these powerful ideas can be leveraged by anyone, not just those in uniform, to build incredible mental fortitude. Welcome to the world of the Stoic soldier, where mental resilience isn't just a nice-to-have, but an absolute must-have. One of the foundational Stoic principles is accepting what you cannot control. We touched on this with the dichotomy of control. In military life, this isn't just a philosophical musing, it's a survival mechanism. A soldier on deployment can't control the weather, the enemy's movements, or the politics back home. What they can control are their reactions, their training, their equipment, and their immediate actions. Imagine being pinned down by enemy fire. You can't control the bullets flying, but you can control your breathing, your assessment of the situation, and your decision to return fire or seek cover. Panicking achieves nothing but chaos. Acknowledging the danger, accepting the external circumstances, and then focusing laser-like on your response. That's the Stoic path. This leads directly to focusing on the present moment. Military operations demand this kind of acute awareness. Dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about future dangers can paralyze a soldier in a critical situation. The training instills an almost instinctual ability to be fully present, to react to what is happening now. In a firefight, you don't have time to rehash last night's bad dream or plan your weekend barbecue. You are utterly, completely, and intensely in the present. This isn't mindfulness for relaxation, though it has that benefit. It's mindfulness for survival. For us civilians, this translates to combating anxiety. How often do we worry about things that haven't happened yet, or regret things that are already in the past? The Stoic soldier, and by extension, the Stoic civilian, learns to anchor themselves in the now. And then there's the often underestimated power of practicing gratitude. Now, you might be thinking, gratitude in the military? When they're sleep-deprived and getting yelled at? Absolutely. It's not about being grateful for the discomfort, but about being grateful for what you do have. The simple things: a warm meal, dry socks, a moment of quiet, the camaraderie of your fellow soldiers, the fact that you're still alive. Many veterans talk about this, how the hardships made them appreciate the little things far more. When you've been truly deprived, the basics become luxuries. This practice isn't just a feel-good exercise, it's a powerful mental reframing tool that helps you find perspective, to realize that even in the toughest circumstances, there are things to be thankful for. It prevents you from spiraling into self-pity or victimhood. So, how do we, the non-uniformed majority, tap into this powerful blend of Stoic wisdom and military-grade mental toughness? Well, the Stoics themselves had some amazing exercises that are surprisingly simple and incredibly effective, and they align perfectly with the mindset we've been discussing. First up, journaling. This isn't just for teenagers writing about their crushes. For Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, his personal journal, now known as Meditations, was his private training ground. It was a place to reflect on his day, examine his reactions, remind himself of Stoic principles, and plan for future challenges. For soldiers, after-action reports and mission debriefs serve a similar purpose, not just to document, but to reflect, learn, and improve. For us, journaling allows us to examine our thoughts and emotions, identify what's within our control and what isn't, practice gratitude, and premeditate on future challenges. Before a big presentation, you could journal about potential obstacles and how you'll respond stoically. After an argument, you can reflect on your role and how you could have handled your emotions better. It's like having a personal mental gym. Next, meditation. And no, I'm not talking about chanting for hours, unless that's your thing. Stoic meditation is often about deliberate reflection, visualization, and preparing for adversity. One classic Stoic exercise is premeditation of evils, praemeditatio malorum. It sounds gloomy, but it's incredibly empowering. You spend a few minutes actively imagining worst-case scenarios: losing your job, getting sick, facing public humiliation. The point isn't to wallow in negativity, but to mentally rehearse how you would respond with reason and virtue. If you mentally prepare for these things, when they, or smaller versions of them, actually happen, you're less likely to be caught off guard and emotionally devastated. For a soldier, this is inherent in their training. They constantly drill for various combat scenarios, so when the real thing happens, their reactions are automatic and disciplined. For us, this might mean mentally rehearsing how you'd handle a difficult conversation or a project going wrong, rather than just hoping it won't happen. And finally, practicing self-reflection. This is a continuous process of self-assessment, questioning your own judgments and identifying areas for improvement. Every drill, every mission debrief, every moment of personal introspection in the military involves self-reflection. What could I have done better? How did my emotions affect my decision? The Stoics were masters of this. They would review their day, asking themselves, where did I go wrong? What did I do well? What could I improve tomorrow? This isn't about self-criticism in a negative way. It's about continuous self-mastery. It's about being your own toughest, but fairest coach. These practices, whether used by soldiers or civilians, are not just theoretical exercises. They are practical tools that build genuine mental resilience. They help you. 1. Navigate challenges. When life throws a curveball, you're not shattered. You're able to assess, adapt, and respond effectively. You develop a psychological Kevlar vest. 2. Find inner strength amidst stress and uncertainty. In a world that feels increasingly chaotic, these practices give you an anchor, a stable core from which to operate. You realize that true strength isn't about never falling, but about getting back up, stronger and wiser, every single time. 3. cultivate a calm mind. By focusing on what you control and accepting what you don't, you dramatically reduce anxiety and worry. It's like clearing out all the mental junk that clutters your brain, leaving space for clarity and purpose. The Stoic soldier isn't just a metaphor, it's a blueprint for living a more resilient, purposeful, and peaceful life. It's about realizing that the battlefield isn't just an external place, it's often within your own mind. And with Stoic discipline, you can conquer that internal battlefield too. Beyond the battlefield, applying Stoic principles to everyday life. All right, we've journeyed through ancient philosophy and the grueling realities of military training. We've seen how these two seemingly disparate worlds are actually deeply intertwined, forging a common path to inner strength. But here's the really exciting part. You don't need to sign up for basic training, unless you want to, of course, to harness this incredible power. The lessons learned from the Stoic soldier, those hard-won bits of wisdom, are perfectly applicable to your everyday life, turning mundane challenges into opportunities for growth. This section is all about taking Stoicism beyond the battlefield. So, how do you incorporate these robust, resilience-building Stoic practices into your daily grind? It's not about wearing a toga to work or marching around your living room. It's about adopting a mindset and practicing consistent, small actions. First, and probably most impactful, focusing on what you can control. We talked about the dichotomy of control. This is the cornerstone. Every time you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or angry, hit the mental pause button and ask yourself, is this within my control? Traffic jam got you fuming. You can't control the traffic, but you can control your reaction. Instead of honking and swearing, maybe put on an audiobook, practice some deep breathing, or just accept the delay. Your blood pressure will thank you. Your coworker keeps missing deadlines? You can't control their work ethic, but you can control how you communicate your expectations, offer help, or escalate the issue through proper channels. Did someone say something rude to you online? You can't control their words, but you can control whether you engage, internalize it, or simply scroll past. Don't give them free rent in your head. This simple mental exercise is profoundly liberating. It helps you distinguish between legitimate problems that require action and external annoyances that only require acceptance. It dramatically reduces anxiety and wasted mental energy. Next up, a practice we touched on, but it bears repeating with civilian examples: practicing gratitude. In the military, it might be for dry socks. In everyday life, it could be for anything. Woke up this morning? Be grateful for another day. Have a roof over your head? Be grateful for shelter. A warm cup of coffee? Savor it. That annoying barking dog next door finally shut up? Absolute bliss. Seriously, take a few minutes each day, maybe before bed or first thing in the morning, to think of 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. Even on your worst days, you can find something. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about actively cultivating a perspective that seeks out the good, no matter how small, amidst the challenges. It shifts your focus from what's lacking to what you possess, fostering contentment and a more optimistic outlook. And finally, mastering emotional control. Again, this isn't about being a robot. It's about pausing between stimulus and response. Your kid just spilled juice all over the new rug. Instead of instantly yelling, take a breath. What's the Stoic response? Anger won't clean the rug or teach your child anything effectively. A calm approach, focusing on the solution, is far more productive. You get some harsh feedback at work. Your initial reaction might be defensiveness or shame. A Stoic would pause, acknowledge the sting, and then rationally evaluate the feedback. Is there truth to it? How can you learn and improve? If it's baseless, can you simply let it go? It's about developing that mental space, that tiny gap between what happens to you and how you choose to react. In that gap lies your freedom and your power. This is where you become the master of your internal world, rather than a slave to your impulses. Let's look at some practical examples of how Stoicism can be applied in various aspects of your civilian life. 1. In professional settings. Dealing with a difficult boss or colleague. Instead of letting their behavior get under your skin, focus on your professionalism, your work ethic, and your ability to control your own responses. You can't control their personality, but you can control yours. Facing a tight deadline or unexpected setback, don't panic. Apply the dichotomy of control. Focus on the tasks you can do, the solutions you can implement, and let go of the anxiety about what might go wrong. Break down the problem into manageable steps, just like a soldier breaks down a complex mission. Public speaking anxiety. Acknowledge the fear. It's natural. Then, focus on your preparation, your message, and your delivery, which are all within your control. The audience's reaction? Not so much. Do your best, and let the rest be. 2. In personal relationships. Arguments with loved ones. Often, arguments stem from trying to control the other person's thoughts or feelings. A Stoic approach encourages empathy, active listening, and focusing on your own communication and understanding. You can't force someone to agree with you, but you can control how clearly and calmly you express your point of view. Dealing with heartbreak or loss. This is one of the toughest tests. Stoicism doesn't say, "Don't grieve." It acknowledges pain but encourages you to accept the reality of what has happened. Focus on what remains, memories, lessons learned, and find a way to move forward with resilience, rather than letting sorrow consume you entirely. It's about not adding unnecessary suffering to unavoidable pain. Parenting. Oh boy, where do we start? Kids are masters of pushing buttons. Stoicism teaches patience, accepting that children are independent beings with their own wills, and focusing on guiding them with reason and consistency, rather than reacting out of frustration. You control your boundaries and your responses, not their every whim. 3. Navigating daily challenges. Financial worries. Instead of succumbing to panic, a Stoic would assess their financial situation objectively, focus on actionable steps, budgeting, saving, seeking advice, and accept the limits of their immediate control over market fluctuations. Health concerns. You can't control every illness or accident, but you can control your lifestyle choices, your adherence to medical advice, and your attitude towards your condition. Focus on what you can do to improve or manage your health. General uncertainty about the future. The world is constantly changing. Instead of being paralyzed by what might happen, focus on living virtuously in the present, adapting as new information comes in, and building the internal resilience to handle whatever comes your way. Ultimately, the lessons learned from Stoicism and military training are about empowering individuals to face life's difficulties with a strong and resilient mindset. It's about building an internal compass that always points towards reason, virtue, and peace, no matter how stormy the seas get. You're not trying to stop the storms. You're learning to sail through them with unwavering composure. It's about becoming your own mental general, strategizing your internal responses, and training your mind to be your greatest ally, not your greatest enemy. Imagine the freedom that comes from knowing you can face anything life throws at you, not because you're fearless, but because you have the tools to manage your fear, control your reactions, and maintain your inner calm. That's the power of Stoic discipline, ready for your everyday life. Finding inner strength through Stoic discipline. Wow, what a journey. Right. We started with ancient philosophers in robes and ended up talking about resilience on the battlefield and in your living room. It's been an absolute blast diving into how the timeless wisdom of Stoicism beautifully intertwines with the rigorous demands of military training, creating a powerful blueprint for building incredible inner strength. So, let's quickly recap the core message we've explored today. We learned that Stoicism isn't about being a stone-faced robot. It's a vibrant, practical philosophy focused on virtue, reason, and living in harmony with nature. It teaches us to discern what's in our control, our thoughts, actions, reactions, from what isn't, external events, other people's opinions. And by focusing our energy solely on what we can control, we unlock a massive reservoir of peace and power. Then, we marched into the world of military training, discovering how its physical and mental demands inadvertently create a real-world forge for Stoic virtues. Soldiers learn to endure hardship, maintain composure under pressure, and prioritize the collective good, all hallmarks of a Stoic mindset. We saw how the grit and discipline cultivated in the military are, in essence, a practical application of Stoic principles, even if they don't call it that during push-up drills. Finally, we explored how these battlefield-tested principles can be seamlessly integrated into your daily life. From focusing on what you can control in a traffic jam, to practicing gratitude for a simple cup of coffee, to maintaining emotional composure when facing a difficult conversation, Stoicism offers practical, actionable tools for navigating the chaos of modern existence with grace and resilience. It's about becoming your own inner general, commanding your thoughts and responses, and forging an unshakable inner calm. The goal isn't to eliminate challenges, it's to develop the mental fortitude to face them head-on, to rise above them, and to emerge stronger. It's about finding that deep well of peace and power within yourself, a strength that isn't dependent on external circumstances, but on your own disciplined mind. So, my friends, I hope this deep dive has sparked something within you. I hope it's shown you that the path to profound inner strength isn't some mystical, unattainable secret. It's a disciplined journey, a daily practice of applying ancient wisdom to modern problems. And it's a journey that is absolutely within your reach. Now, if you've enjoyed this exploration and feel like you've gained some valuable insights, then do me a huge favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps this channel reach more awesome people like you who are looking to level up their lives. And don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What was your biggest takeaway? How do you plan to apply Stoic discipline in your own life? Or maybe you have a funny story about trying to be Stoic in a totally unstoic situation. And, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future deep dives into fascinating topics like this. We're on a mission to bring you powerful ideas that can truly transform your perspective. If you're hungry for more Stoic wisdom, I highly encourage you to explore it further. There are incredible resources out there. 1. Books. Check out Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, or Discourses by Epictetus for the OGs. For modern interpretations, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday is a fantastic starting point. 2. Podcasts. There are many great podcasts dedicated to Stoicism that can offer daily inspiration and practical advice. 3. Online resources. Websites like Daily Stoic and Stoicism today offer a wealth of articles and insights. The journey to inner strength through Stoic discipline is a lifelong one, but it's incredibly rewarding. Embrace the challenge, practice consistency, and watch how your ability to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs transforms. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and for being a part of this incredible community. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and keep cultivating that inner Stoic warrior.